Tony Hancock. The whole of Britain knows you in your professional comic mask, and tonight we want to try and find out what lies behind the mask. Now, are you in the mood to come clean?
Yes, indeed.
You know you're on your own, you're without your
Yes.
scriptwriters.
Yes.
And you'll tell us the truth.
I'll try to.
Do you like talking about yourself or not?
Yes, up to a point, particularly in relation to what I do.
Well,
in
then in that
relation to
case...
comedy, yes.
All right, then I'll ask you first of all, why are you a comic?
Well, I think I always certainly wanted to be from the first time I can remember. And perhaps looking like this, it was perhaps the only thing I could do. So I turned the sort of deficiencies into a workable thing, if you understand what I mean.
Yes, but let's go a bit deeper than that. Do you think the world is a comic place or is it a tragic place?
Well, I think it consists of the two things. It's both funny and sad, which seem to me to be the two basic ingredients of good comedy.
Basic ingredients. What is being funny? Is it mixing them together? How do you tell
Well, I
what
think they
is funny?
exist together anyway.
Yes.
By the way we live. When we attempt to be affected or pompous or, how can I say? We are sort of all unsure of ourselves and what we live in. We try to live in a certain way. We are, I suppose, to a certain extent, all affected, and that is both funny and sad, I think.
So that being funny is showing how people are affected. Is that what you're trying to say?
I think so. I think you explode your own pomposity and other people's and get probably to the real truth of the way you live.
And so that being funny is part of the business of finding out the truth about life.
Entirely.
Yes.
You can't think of it in any other way.
Now, your own comedy character, the one we know in
Yes.
Hancock's half
Yes.
hour, swagger, bluster, and then not being very effectual in the end. Is that right?
I don't think you can sort of really theorize entirely about these things. As I say, this is all sort of part of what you are and part of what everybody else is. It's a comment on yourself and a comment on everybody else, I think.
Well, how much is it a comment on yourself?
Oh, to a great extent, to a great extent. I mean, shall we say the character that, it isn't a character that I play, that I put on and off like a coat. It is greatly a part of me and a part of everybody else that I see.
Now, it's often been said about you, I don't know whether you think this is true or not, that one thing that you do in your comedy is to ridicule the things that you dislike in life. Is that true?
Yes, that also applies to the things you dislike in yourself.
All right, well, now, what are they?
Oh, I think a certain affectation. I mean, I know, for instance, I often find in a script things that I've said in all seriousness, which they later write up in detail and absolutely, which later turn out to be funny. If I've been angry or something like that, and I look at this and I think, yes, that's very funny, unfortunately.
Yes.
It's something that I'd said at the time and been rather pompous about, and they have noticed this and written it down. There it is.
This is an example of debunking yourself. Now, how
Yes.
much do you try and debunk other people as well?
Oh, well, you do that, shall we say, generously. Yes, you do. You debunk pomposity, affectation.
What are the things? Can you tell me that there are particular things in the world that you know you dislike? Personal characteristics, first of all. Is it pomposity that you're after?
You don't dislike them, you accept them.
But that you also...
I mean, you're tolerant towards them.
But these are what you'd like to pillory if you could.
Yes, as I say, both in yourself and in everything that you see.
Pomposity is the first one. Anything else? Bad temper, greed?
All those things, yes, I think.
And in the world, apart from people in the world outside, what would you most like to reform about the world if you had the chance?
I'm not capable of doing that.
Or don't you have dreams about it?
No. You just observe and practice within the limitations of your own talent what you see around you.
You've never dreamed of playing Hamlet?
No. I don't think it's for me, really.
Are you absolutely stuck to this character now? Do you see it modifying and developing at all?
Oh, yes, I think so, definitely. There are certain things I'd like to get away from now, really. They're difficult to talk about and impossible to talk about, really. But gradually you do pull away from... you try and throw away the rubbish. I mean, it accumulates all the time, and you try and throw it away and come down to what is really your own personality. In other words, you spend most of the time discarding, not gathering.
And this is a job that you've not finished doing yet?
Oh, by no means.
Looking back on your first 35 years, jolly straight question, are you happy or not?
I've been very fortunate, I think, and I have everything that that anybody could want to make them happy. But wait a minute, I haven't finished it. I was going to say that the only happiness I could achieve would be to perfect the talent that I have, whatever it may be, however small it may be. That is the whole purpose of it, and that is the whole purpose of what I do.
Some of the newspaper writers who've tried to puzzle out what makes you tick have said that you're the angst man, the anxiety man. Now, have you any notion of what your anxiety is? Do you, in fact, get a kick out of your anxiety?
How do you think anxiety? Would you explain that a bit more?
Well, something appears to me, even at the end of this conversation, to be eating you. You say that your happiness is just ahead of you still. There's something troubling you about the world. I'd like to know what it is.
I wouldn't expect happiness. I don't think that's possible. But I'm very fortunate to be able to work in something that I like. I think to have to work in something that is pleasure is all anybody can ask.
You wouldn't then change your way of life at all?
I'd try and improve it, yes.
Well, improve it, but you'd go on in the same way, getting better at what you're doing.
Yes, and if such a time came that I found that I'd come to the end of what I could develop out of my own ability, or limited however it may be, then I wouldn't want to do it anymore.
Tony Hancock, I wonder if you really get very much out of your triumphs. You've got cars that you don't drive. You've got health, which you tell me is a bit ropey because you find you find it so difficult to learn your lines. You've got money that you can't really spend. You worry about your weight.
I spend the money. I do. I enjoy it.
Well, what I want to put to you as a final question is this. You could stop all this tomorrow if you wanted to. You're rich enough to coast along for the rest of your days. Now,
money is of no account in this.
Well, tell me why you go on.
Because,
Tell me why you go on as a last answer.
Because it absolutely fascinates me, because I love it, and because it is my entire life.